All right, it is time for...
This is Hit My Portfolio. Hit My Portfolio.
Favourite part of the episode. We've got an expert in the studio. We've got a listener on the line to do Pimp My Portfolio, where community members submit their portfolios to hopefully get an expert provide a little bit of support and advice. And we have in the studio our expert for today, Luke Laretive from Seneca. Luke, how are you?
Bryce, how are you?
Good, mate. And on the line, we have Christie.
Ren's not here, apparently.
I am here as well.
Ren's part of the episode.
Christie, great. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey guys, good to talk to you.
No, we're looking forward to this one. So Ren, as always, give us the details. What's in Christie's portfolio?
Okay, so Christie's portfolio is anchored by three big ETFs. The Vanguard International shares at 27% of the portfolio, Vanguard Aussie shares 29% of the portfolio, and the Vanguard High Yield at 21% of the portfolio. A couple of other ETFs, NDQ and Vanguard Aussie Property, and then three stocks, BHP and Fortescue, and then a smaller Woodside holding. And Christie, I don't want to be presumptuous, but I'm guessing the Woodside holding came from the BHP sale and share split.
It did, that's right.
Nice.
Great. Now, as we always like to start, Luke will give the portfolio a nickname.
All right, Luke, what have we got?
This is called the Sandgroper Special.
The Sandgroper Special?
What's that?
What is that?
What's that?
So a Sandgroper...
It's a fish?
It's the Western Australians will know it's like a nickname for Western Australians.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because...
Okay.
And
Christie, are you from Western Australia?
I'm not actually.
it's only because you got
from
the...
Sydney.
I'm guessing
Luke
because you've
is
got...
from Western Australia.
Yeah,
so
so because you got Fortescue, BHP, Woodside.
Yeah,
you know.
Okay.
I told you guys, I've got no creativity. I'm running dry on names, so really badly.
Oh, good. Credit where
yeah.
credit's due. You got to keep coming up with them. But perhaps, Christie, we start with you. Can you just run us through how you've come to build your portfolio?
Yeah, look, it's kind of in a bit of a transition at the moment, actually. When I started, I did have a lot of big individual stock holdings. But after I've had kids, I just don't have the time to maintain that so much anymore. So I have been selling out of them and sort of transitioning more into just having ETFs for having something lower maintenance. And I know it looks like I'm super into resources, but they're actually sort of leftovers that I haven't sold out of yet. These ones I bought using a small amount of debt recycling, and I haven't sort of figured out what it means to sell those.
Yep.
So they're kind of ones I'm procrastinating on. I know that I don't really want to keep holding them, but I'm not sure when's the right time to sell out. And they have returned better than some of my other holdings too, so I've kind of procrastinated on selling for that reason too.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's something that people get caught with sometimes with direct shares. They should return better than your whole portfolio, like than a diversified portfolio, because it's concentrated. So if they're not doing that, it's obviously not a good investment. But by the same token, you know, holding individual shares, if you get lucky, you buy them at the right time, you will make money. So, and you'll make more money than you would in the short term than holding a VAS or other international ETFs. So I can see why people get caught in that transition, as you called it, Christie. So look, my overriding comments are: this is pretty slick, pretty good, pretty happy with this overall.
Jeez, I'd be taking that, Christie.
That's quite rare, isn't it?
Yeah, that's very rare.
I'm
Should we
a
just?
bastard. Yeah,
how about we just finish here?
Yeah,
Let's finish on a high.
For Luke.
That's about as good as you're going to get from me. So, especially for an ETF portfolio,
Yeah,
right?
nice.
So, I would say that you could probably simplify here if you wanted to. Now, you don't have to, but there's not really any need to hold, in my opinion, particularly if this is a growth portfolio, a portfolio that's designed to go up, to buy Australian property or Australian high yield. I think that money, you can just think about it as, okay, how much money do I want in international shares? How much money do I want in Australian shares? 60-40 or international favour would be totally fine. You pick a number, Christie, doesn't really matter. You could pick 100% international as far as I'm concerned, as long as it's not just 100% Australia, I'm happy with it. And look to just say, okay, well, I'm just going to do the VGS and the VAS. And that would be totally fine. You could do something like the VDHG, which I know you're familiar with. And then if you wanted to, do anything on the side, which I would not, necessarily advocate for, you could pick one or two other things that you're interested in. But from my perspective, a portfolio, if someone came to me with a portfolio, 60% MSCI All World Index of their choosing, 40% some diversified Australian shares through ASX 300 benchmark thing, it's fine.
Perfect.
You don't need anything else. And yeah, that's going to do the job for you. And I don't really see a reason to own, an NDQ or any of that sort of stuff as well. It's going to get rolled up in the big international one, and you're going to play that more. What would you call proper index investing, proper market cap, 5,000 stocks type stuff, not 100 stocks, because NDQ to me is correlated. It's not necessarily. It feels safe, but it ain't.
Yeah, I think the key thing there, Christie, is the Vanguard Aussie shares and Vanguard Aussie shares high yield, very similar companies, and then the companies that are in the beta shares NASDAQ 100, the companies that are at the top of that are also at the top of the international index. So there's an argument that you could simplify your portfolio even further. But I think, as we said, that's glowing from Luke.
That is amazing. Do you have any questions off the back of that comment from Luke, Christie?
No, I don't think so. I think that's given me some really good things to think about. I've kind of gone back and forth when I first started buying on whether I was going to be a dividend investor or a growth investor, and I think that's where I've ended up with some of the duplications. Mm-hmm. So it's good to think about keeping on simplifying that and maybe doing that a bit further as well.
Nothing wrong with dividends. Nothing wrong with reinvesting them and continuing to grow that way.
Aussie stocks pay so high dividends anyway. Like you're going to get great dividend from.
You get 3.5%, 4% just on the whole index.
You don't need to go high yield to get dividends from the Aussie market. So,
and as I've said before, high yield companies are generally not going to grow as fast because they're going to pay out more of their profits to you as a shareholder and less in their business. And you can only reinvest them at whatever the rate of return of your portfolio is, or in the cash rate at 4.5%. They might be able to reinvest at 20s and 30% return on invested capital. So I'd much rather give it back to them and say, hey, go and get me another 30%.
Christie, I'm sitting here absolutely stunned because we've done a number of these Pimp My Portfolios with Luke, and he will take every opportunity to talk about active management. And this felt like a absolute layup to talk about active management.
I could have done it.
Because you've got a really good.
Don't give him a layup.
You've got. I think because I think it's worth the conversation. It's like you've got a really good building blocks of like index, large cap stocks with what you've got, but there are pockets of the market that you don't have a lot of exposure to. Emerging markets, small caps, stuff like that, where active managers really excels. So I'm interested to hear Luke's take on could active management play a role in his portfolio.
Without straying into the realms of personal advice, Christie did preface the conversation by saying she's had a family, she's trying to reduce the hassle of running a share portfolio. She's trying to spend as little time doing this as humanly possible. So look, it depends. Sure, would the portfolio we've just discussed look like my portfolio? No, it looks nothing like what I do with my own money. And would I do this with my own money? No, never. But the reality is it okay? Sure, totally fine. Like there's lots of ways to skin the cat, and just because it's not what I do with my money doesn't mean I'm the arbiter of truth here. So are there things you can do to generate better risk-adjusted returns, Christie? Yeah, sure there are. Is it maybe not the time to be worried about those at the moment and generating the best returns you can possibly do? Well, look, without asterisk, general advice, but probably not. So by the sounds of it, so that would be why I avoided doing my usual active management rant, is because unlike you, Bryce, I listen to the clients.
Nice. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward, Christie. It sounds like, from Luke's point of view, you're very much on track. If you wanted to make life even easier, then solidifying a few of those ETFs, particularly that have Australian exposure, more into the international, could be beneficial. But I mean, overall, you can't really complain with the glowing reviews that have come from Luke. I think to your point though on what to do with those other 3 stocks, we can't really say from a personal advice point of view. There's probably tax implications there.
Bryce and I have just taken our first step on the property journey. We're not up to the recycling equity part of that, so congratulations on being there. But
Except I've left myself in a mess. Except I've left myself in a mess now.
No, I'm sure you're fine. I can't even spell debt recycling, so that's
And we didn't get to it today, Christie, but I think one other thing you should be commended on is thinking about building a portfolio for your kids and starting to invest, or starting to think about how you can invest with them. And I think that's so important. So well done.
There's no reason that your portfolio should look any different to your kids. For my nephews, I don't have kids, but for my nephews, I invest in the exact same portfolio of shares as what I own. It's exactly the same. So, and I don't see why it would be any different.
Nice one.
Nice. Well, Christie, I hope you got something out of that conversation to think about. If you would like to chat to Luke more formally, we can make the introduction. Or if you're at home listening and would like to submit to Pimp My Portfolio or be connected with Luke or any of our other advisors, head to equitymates.com/advice and we'll make sure we put you in touch. But Christie, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your journey with the Equity Mates community. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, guys. That was great.
Equity Mates. I will say this about investing. Everything you do learn is cumulative. What I learned at 20 is useful.